Do you want more? More time, more balance, more love, more sex, more money, more real, and less bullshit? This is the Women Wanting More podcast with Dr. Karen Osborne. Real life, real stories, plus real tips to get you more of what you want.
So I'm attending this very cool women's retreat in Northern California in about a week and a half. So this is the first time that I've gone to an all-women's event like this for quite some time. It's probably been about 2 years. I've run events for just women, but none where I've attended just for me. And so I'm looking forward to this. And what they sent to us about a week ago is, hey, when you come, a couple things they mentioned, but one was like, when you come down, we want you to bring something that represents who you are, right? That represents who you are. And it, by the way, it cannot be a picture of your children, like, you know, or something that, it was either something like that or something that's meaningful to you. But the way I really interpreted this, and they said, because you're going to bring it to the first night when you kind of introduce yourself to the other women in the group. And so to me, it was kind of like, okay, what is something, like some object, something that represents who I am? And so I thought of things like, well, I could bring my journal, because, you know, that, you know, is really important. I could bring my Muse meditation device, because, like, meditation is really important to me. And then I really thought about it some more, and it was really the first thing that came to mind. But I was like, oh, that seems like it's cheesy or something. And I'm like, no, this is the thing. And so what I'm actually going to bring is one of my boxing gloves. I don't need both. They're kind of big and bulky, so I don't need to pack both in my bag for just a weekend trip. But yeah, I'm going to bring a boxing glove. Why? Well, one is boxing has been something I was telling this to my coach today. I said, hey, I'm going to retreat, and explain what I was doing, and I said, I'm bringing this. He's like, oh, that's so cool. And I said, yeah, because I said, boxing, out of anything that I've done over the last 2 years, has brought me some of the most lessons. From where I started boxing of like, yeah, I'm going to like hit shit, to like, ooh, I'm going to compete. And, oh, I'm going to compete because I'm going to fucking clobber her, right? I'm going to like knock that bitch down, like that kind of ego state, understanding that fighters are really more like, in my coach Rob's words, like humble warriors. It's not about ego. Now I know you might go, but what do you mean, Karen? And don't you see these professional fighters and what the, yeah, I know there's a lot of that kind of pomp and circumstance shit. And yes, there'll be some pro fighters that are like that are just so much talk, right? But really at the essence, think of like Bruce Lee, okay? Think of like Bruce Lee, where it's like, there is a presence about people who fight, regardless of what the modality is. Martial arts, boxing, kickboxing, MMA, like it doesn't really matter. Jiu-jitsu, like, you know, regardless of the method, the technique, the tool that's used in fighting, there is something to it that just like pulled me into it. It pulled me into it. And, you know, a piece of me was kind of like, yeah, I'm a fighter because, you know, I've been knocked down. Like, there's so many, you know, boxing analogies that relate to life. You know, get knocked down, you get back up, right? Like, you know, there's just kind of getting, that whole analogy of getting knocked down, the whole thing of, like, training really, really hard for something, of doing something that scared me. One of the things that made me want to compete in the first place, which I still have not had my first boxing tournament, and if you want to know why, because of injury and no opponent, and I've stepped up to the plate 3 times, and either because of either injury twice or no opponent once, and actually ended up being a second time, the second tournament that I went to compete for, when I had this injury that I like could not even walk on this right leg. And you got to be able to move around the ring fairly well and adeptly, and I just had massive pain that led to the next thing. But I also found out as then the tournament came to be that there was no other female boxers in my weight class, so I'm like, there you go. It was not going to happen anyways, but one of the reasons that I decided to compete was that it really scared me. To get punched in the face scared me. This thing of kind of like, you know, facing something that's unknown. And what I realized is that often the story, because then once I did really start training and sparring, and yeah, you're going to get punched in the face sparring. People don't go all out sparring, but you know, you have to honor your sparring partner, and you have to you can't really hold back all that much unless you're really at different, levels. But no, you want them, the purpose is to really them when they go into that tournament, into that fight, that like you're prepared, right? So yeah, I got punched in the face a bunch of times. And it's funny how like once it does happen, it's, the story that you create about something is bigger than how it actually ends up being. We create this whole thing of how we think it's going to be. But yeah, it just really was like, wow, what really defines me? Like, what's something, if someone's to say like, who am I, right? Now, there's also just the bits and pieces of boxing where it's like, movement and being strong and being able to physically protect myself. Like, I've listened to a lot of conversations that women have had, like celebrities or just women's conversations, either in person or online in some way, or comments and stuff, of how a lot of women are, the conversation with the hashtag #MeToo movement has really brought the discussion forward of, listen, this is what we deal with women every day, right? Cat calls, not feeling safe, afraid of, how a man might hurt us physically, sexually, those that have had those experiences to them, like, what that has done to them, how that affects everything in life. And I think just the biggest one, which is men don't really understand what we have to, worrying about what to wear, like all these kinds of things, right? The things that we think of as women, because this is the world that we live in. But yet one thing that fighting has brought for me is the security that, if somebody came at me, I really feel incredibly confident that I would be able to defend myself and get away. And I think that the confidence that I feel in my physicality will project that energy as well too. So, I'll walk my dogs in literally like pitch black, except for, the occasional street light, and I walk down by the beach and there's kind of not a soul out when I might see a person or two, but, I remember when, say, a year ago when this was happening, I was like, ooh, I'm kind of afraid, like it's really dark and stuff. And now I'm just like, I'm good. I feel very confident. I also have my 2 big dogs, but nonetheless, it's like I feel like I could defend myself. And so boxing has brought for me this like added confidence that I can bring my own safety, right? That I could protect, if it was me and my kids and something was going down, that I would be able to protect my children. Now, could a man still maybe overpower me because he's bigger than me? Yeah, but if you know how to fight, that's not the only thing that matters, right? If you know how to defend yourself, if you know how to block things, if you know how to move your body like quickly to get away and stuff, like that's been so valuable. Fighting to me too has really allowed me to place my ego aside. It's still there sometimes, but I realized to go in with like, I got this kind of thing, like, with that ego piece intact, that those are the times that I've gotten punched in the face. Boxing has also taught me as well too of how to, when you're in that, for me at least, my experience when I'm sparring is just like my senses are heightened because I have to be prepared for whatever is coming. And it's not like my body's full of stress and tension. Sometimes if I'm nervous, someone that I haven't sparred with before, there's a lot of people around, that kind of thing, but like it makes me hyper aware, and it's allowed me to also be very present. Because when you are sparring, like you have to be present. You can't check out. You can, but be prepared to get a nice strong right cross, right to the nose, man, right to the smacker. Like, so boxing has taught me so many things, and so many lessons and gifts that I never thought, and so many things that I've learned about myself. Like I went in going like, I'm stronger. Like I can do this. I can work hard, like I'll just go and go and go. But there's been all the things of, again, laying down the ego, the humbleness of it. I think too that fighting is really like, it's like an honoring spiritual act. Like there's a depth to it that I never understood before, and it's helped me reach and understand the depth of me. And so that object of the boxing glove that I will bring down to that retreat in a week and a half it means something to me. There's so many things that I can talk to about that. And so this is what I want to kind of talk to you about today is like, who are you? If you were to describe who you are outside of the titles, right? Wife, mother, business owner, entrepreneur, nurse, teacher, whatever, construction worker, not the titles that we have, woman, but who are you really? If you had to bring, so this is your more tip, I want you to think, what would be if you were me and you're going to this retreat, what would be the one object that you would bring? And by the way, again, it can't be a picture of your kids, because I know a lot of women define themselves with motherhood, and that's beautiful, but there needs to be another piece. There just has to be. Even if you're a stay-at-home mama, you homeschool the kids, what is the object that you would bring, sister, if you were me? For you. What would be the object that would define you? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to open up your journal. I want you to find what that object is. What is that thing that you would bring that you would be able to describe to a group of other women as to who you really are? And what would you say about it? So what's the thing that you would bring? I want you to journal all of this. And what would you say about that object? In other words, these are some of the things that I'm going to say. I'm not going to rehearse shit, but, that I'm going to say about what that boxing glove really means to me and all its meaning and how it has impacted my life. By the way, the same gloves I've had from the beginning, because they're nice and worked in and they're nice and stinky as boxing gloves should be. And so this will be kind of a really fun experience. You can take this light, or you can take this, surface, or you can take this deep. So what is that object for you? And what would you say about that object? What is it that describes or defines who you be, sister? So who am I? So finishing up, sister, one simple thing. I want you to make sure that you subscribe to the Woman Wanting More newsletter to be part of the tribe as this movement is evolving and changing and growing. There is a new free Facebook group that I am creating in the next probably week or so. And so the newsletter is going to get the first wind of that. And it'll be really what I'm writing about in my book that's coming out later this year about my experience over the last year and how it's really changed me and how it's normal to go through these experiences that I think a lot of you go through or try to stop it because you think it's not normal or you're crazy or it's weird. And I know that by sharing my story is going to give you the permission to be able to not only be okay if you're going through the experiences like I have had this year and I'm still going through, or you're going to take a look at past ones and know it's okay, and you're going to see that you're not all alone in any future ones that you may have, sister. So head over right now to drkarenosborn.com/action guide. So let me spell that for you. drkarenosborn.com/action guide. Enter in your email. And when you do, I'm going to send you some amazing video trainings as well as the more for action guide in the video training, which will teach you how to start your day in a place of power. So there you go, sister. drkarenosborn.com/action guide. So I will talk to you on the next episode. A Life of More is one step away from you really understanding who you are, sister. Remembering who you are every single day. I love and appreciate you.
To get the show notes of each Women Wanting More episode, including the How to Get More tip, subscribe to the newsletter at drkarenosborn.com/newsletter.